Have you ever wondered why some people seem to sail into their 80s and 90s with energy and a sharp mind, while so many others seem to hit a wall, fading long before their time? We all know someone like that. Maybe it was a parent, a friend, or a neighbor who was vibrant and full of life at 65, but by 75, seemed a shadow of their former self. It's a quiet, troubling question many of us ask ourselves as we look in the mirror and see the years adding up. We see the statistics, we hear the stories, and a chilling thought can take root. Is that my fate, too? We're told it's just a roll of the genetic dice, a matter of luck. But the truth is, for the vast majority of people, genetics only loads the gun. It's our daily life, our seemingly harmless habits, that quietly, day after day, pulls the trigger. The reality is that there's a powerful and often unspoken principle at play, something we'll call the 90% rule. Medical research indicates that up to 90% of our health outcomes, our vitality, and even our longevity are determined not by our DNA, but by our daily choices. And what's truly shocking is how many of us, without ever realizing it, are caught in a handful of common habits that all but guarantee a premature decline. This isn't about rare diseases or freak accidents. This is about the subtle, creeping erosion of life that happens right under our noses, often leading to a significant loss of quality of life, or even death, before the average age of 78. This could be you. This could be happening to you right now. And the most devastating part is that the warning signs are often dismissed as just getting older. The gradual loss of strength, the creeping brain fog, the aches you ignore, these are not just normal aging. They are red flags. This is about more than just years. It's about your independence, your dignity, and the ability to be present for the people you love. It's about not becoming a burden, a fear that haunts so many of us in our quiet moments. But here is the exclusive promise of our time together today. I am going to pull back the curtain on 4 of the most dangerous daily habits that silently sabotage the health of millions of people over 50. These are the things no one tells you, the blind spots in our daily routines. But more importantly, I will give you the practical, simple solutions you can start using today, not next week, not next year, but today, to reverse the damage and reclaim the vibrant, long life you deserve. We will show you how to transform these hidden dangers into sources of strength. Stay until the end, because the 4th and final habit is the most overlooked of all. It's a mental trap that more than 80% of seniors fall into, and breaking free from it is the single most powerful thing you can do to protect your brain and your spirit for the decades to come. Now let's get started. Number 1. The tyranny of the comfortable chair. We've all earned our rest. After decades of hard work, raising families, and meeting obligations, the allure of a comfortable armchair, a good book, or a favorite television program is powerful. It feels like a well-deserved reward. But what they don't tell you is that this reward can quietly become a prison. For those of us over 60, prolonged sitting isn't just inactivity. It's an active process of disassembly for the human body. It is one of the most significant and overlooked threats to our independence. Let me explain why this is so crucial for our age group. After the age of 50, we naturally begin to lose muscle mass in a process called sarcopenia. Think of it as a quiet, slow-motion crumbling of the very framework that holds you up. When we spend hours upon hours sitting, we accelerate this process exponentially. Your largest muscle groups, the glutes, the quads, the core, are completely disengaged. They begin to atrophy, to waste away, not over years, but over months. This isn't just about looking less toned. This is about the sudden inability to get up from a low chair without using your arms. It's the shocking realization that you can't lift a bag of groceries that was no problem just a year ago. It's the terrifying instability you feel when walking on uneven ground, raising the risk of a fall, which for a senior can be a life-altering or even life-ending event. Behind the scenes, your circulatory system is also suffering. Blood pools in your lower legs, dramatically increasing the risk of dangerous blood clots or deep vein thrombosis. Your metabolism grinds to a halt. The cells in your idle muscles become resistant to insulin, paving the way for type 2 diabetes, heart disease, and chronic, body-wide inflammation, which experts now recognize as the root of nearly every age-related disease. Take the story of Walter, a 76-year-old retired accountant. Walter was a man of routine and comfort. His pride and joy was a big, plush leather recliner positioned perfectly in front of his large-screen television. After a lifetime of crunching numbers, he felt he'd earned the right to relax. His day was a comfortable loop. Breakfast at the kitchen table, then to the recliner with the newspaper. Lunch, then back to the recliner for a nap and an afternoon of classic movies. His wife, Helen, would sometimes gently suggest a walk, but Walter would just pat the arm of his chair and say, "I'm happy right here, dear. My traveling days are over." What Walter didn't realize was that his beloved chair was silently stealing his future. He started noticing little things. Getting out of the car felt like a major effort. He'd grunt and push himself up. He chose shoes he could slip on because bending over to tie laces made him dizzy. At his grandson's soccer game, he couldn't make it up the bleachers and had to watch from a folding chair on the sidelines, feeling isolated and old. The turning point was devastating. One evening, the phone rang in the hallway. He pushed himself out of his recliner to answer it, but his legs, weak and unresponsive from hours of inactivity, didn't cooperate. They buckled. Walter crashed to the floor, his hip taking the full impact. The pain was excruciating. The diagnosis at the hospital was a fractured hip, a sentence that for many seniors marks the beginning of the end of their independence. Lying in that hospital bed, staring at the ceiling, Walter was consumed by a tidal wave of regret. It wasn't a disease that put him there. It wasn't a tragic accident. It was his chair. It was the thousands of hours he had chosen comfort over movement. He saw a future of walkers, rehab facilities, and relying on Helen for everything. The loss of dignity was a heavier blow than the physical pain. The consequences of ignoring this habit are severe. It's a slow, insidious path to becoming frail. Frailty isn't just weakness. It's a medical condition characterized by a loss of energy, a slowed walking speed, and a high susceptibility to any form of stress, from a common cold to a minor fall. It's the reason a simple case of the flu can land a senior in the hospital for weeks. It's the loss of respect that comes when others have to start doing things for you. It's the heartbreaking moment you realize you can't get on the floor to play with your grandchildren, and the even more heartbreaking moment they stop asking you to. Fortunately, the solution isn't about running marathons or joining a high-intensity gym. It's about breaking the spell of continuous sitting. The good news is you can take control, and the changes are simple. First, implement what experts call movement snacks. The rule is simple. Never sit for more than 30 minutes at a time. Set a timer on your watch, your phone, or even an old kitchen timer. When it goes off, you don't have to do anything strenuous. Just stand up. Walk to the kitchen for a glass of water. Go look out the window. Do a few simple stretches. This small act reawakens your muscles, boosts your circulation, and resets your metabolism. It takes less than 2 minutes, but it breaks the cycle of decay. Second, weaponize commercial breaks. If you watch 2 hours of television a day, that's nearly 40 minutes of commercials. Instead of fast-forwarding or sitting through them, use them. Stand up and march in place. Do some gentle lunges holding onto a sturdy chair for support. Do some shoulder rolls or neck stretches. You can get a surprisingly effective mini-workout done without ever missing a moment of your show. Third, make your environment less convenient. It sounds counterintuitive, but it works. Keep the remote control across the room so you have to get up to change the channel. Take your phone calls standing up, or, even better, pacing around the room. These small inconveniences are actually opportunities for life-extending movement that you can weave into your day seamlessly. Walter, after months of painful rehabilitation, took these lessons to heart. He sold the recliner. He bought a simple, upright armchair and placed it in a different part of the room. He set a timer every 30 minutes without fail. He and Helen started a new ritual, a slow, 15-minute walk after every meal. It was hard at first, but slowly, he felt the strength returning to his legs. He felt more stable. The fog in his head began to lift. 6 months later, he was back at his grandson's soccer game, and this time, he climbed right to the top of the bleachers, a triumphant smile on his face. He had taken back control. He had escaped the prison of his comfortable chair. Let's move forward from this crucial point about physical activity to something that happens inside our own kitchens. Number 2, the habit of emotional eating and mindless snacking. As we get older, our relationship with food changes. For many, The structured meals of a busy work life and raising a family give way to a more unstructured, grazing style of eating. The pantry and the refrigerator become constant companions, especially during quiet afternoons or lonely evenings. This isn't about hunger. This is about using food to fill a void, boredom, loneliness, grief, or simply the quiet hum of an empty house. This habit of mindless snacking, often on highly processed, sugary, or salty foods, is a hidden danger that wreaks havoc on an aging body. Here's why this is so critically important for people in our demographic. An older body processes sugar and refined carbohydrates very differently than a younger one. Our insulin sensitivity naturally decreases with age, meaning our bodies have to work much harder to manage blood sugar. When you constantly graze on crackers, cookies, chips, or sweets, you're essentially sending wave after wave of sugar into your bloodstream. Your pancreas works overtime, pumping out insulin to try and manage the flood. Over time, your cells start to ignore the insulin signal. This is called insulin resistance, and it is the direct precursor to type 2 diabetes. But it's worse than that. This constant state of high blood sugar and high insulin creates a firestorm of chronic inflammation throughout your body. Think of inflammation as a slow, simmering fire inside your arteries, your joints, and even your brain. Medical research has found that this chronic inflammation is a major contributing factor to heart disease, painful arthritis, and is now being strongly linked to Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia. It's the hidden force that makes your joints ache, your thinking fuzzy, and your energy levels plummet. Let's look at someone like Carol. Carol was a 72-year-old retired schoolteacher, a widow for the past 3 years. Her husband, Richard, had been the center of her world. His sudden passing left a silence in her home that was deafening. Carol found a strange sort of comfort in the kitchen. She wasn't cooking big meals anymore, but the pantry was always stocked. Her routine became predictable. She'd watch her favorite game shows in the afternoon, a bag of potato chips or a sleeve of crackers on the end table beside her. In the evenings, reading a book, she'd find herself wandering to the freezer for a small bowl of ice cream. It wasn't a conscious decision. It was an automatic, comforting ritual. The crunch of the chips, the sweetness of the ice cream, filled the quiet moments. They were a temporary balm for her loneliness. But slowly, the consequences began to build, subtly at first. She was gaining weight, mostly around her middle, a type of fat that is particularly dangerous for heart health. She felt perpetually tired, a deep, bone-weary fatigue that no amount of sleep could fix. Her joints, especially her knees and fingers, ached with a dull, persistent throb. She dismissed it all as just part of being 72. The wake-up call came during a routine checkup. Her doctor, a kind woman she'd seen for years, sat her down with a concerned look. Her blood pressure was elevated. Her cholesterol was high, and her A1C level, a measure of her average blood sugar, had crept into the pre-diabetic range. The doctor started asking gentle questions about her diet. Carol felt a flush of shame as she described her daily snacking. "I don't even know why I do it," she confessed, her voice trembling. "I'm not even hungry most of the time." Her doctor explained, "Carol, what you're eating is putting your body under constant stress. That fatigue you feel, that's the inflammation. The achy joints? Inflammation. We have to change this, not just to avoid diabetes, but to give you your energy and your life back." The consequences of ignoring this habit are devastating because they are so insidious. You don't just wake up one day with diabetes. You wake up day after day feeling a little more tired, a little more achy, a little foggier. Your world starts to shrink because you don't have the energy to engage with it. You turn down invitations from friends because you feel too sluggish. You stop enjoying your hobbies because you can't focus. It's a slow fade, a gradual surrender of vitality that you mistakenly attribute to your age, when in reality, it's being driven by what's in your pantry. It's the hidden cost of finding comfort in a cookie tin instead of in a connection. Fortunately, you can regain power over this habit, and it's not about punishing diets or deprivation. The good news is it's about mindfulness and strategy. Here's what you can do. First, create a food-free zone and a food-free time. Designate the living room, or wherever you relax, as a place where you do not eat, especially not from a bag or a box. Food should be eaten at the kitchen or dining room table, from a plate. This simple rule breaks the automatic, unconscious link between relaxing and snacking. Similarly, establish a kitchen closing time. Decide that after, say, 8 p.m., the kitchen is closed for business. This prevents the late-night, emotion-driven grazing that does so much damage. Second, practice what is called the 5-minute rule. When you feel the urge to snack, tell yourself you will wait just 5 minutes. In those 5 minutes, ask yourself a crucial question. What am I really feeling right now? Am I bored, lonely, sad, tired? Identify the true emotion. Then, find a non-food way to address it. If you're lonely, call a friend or a family member. If you're bored, turn on some music and dance for one song, or pick up a puzzle. If you're sad, look at old photos that bring you joy. This retrains your brain to seek genuine solutions instead of the temporary fix of food. Third, engineer your environment for success. You are far more likely to eat what is easy and visible. So, make healthy choices the easy choice. Put a bowl of fresh fruit on the counter. Keep pre-cut vegetables in the front of the fridge. Keep a pitcher of iced tea or lemon water handy. And move the cookies, chips, and crackers to a high shelf, out of sight, or better yet, stop buying them altogether for a while. You're not depriving yourself, you're protecting yourself. Carol took her doctor's advice seriously. She cleaned out her pantry, a difficult but empowering act. She started calling her sister every afternoon at 3 p.m., the time her snack cravings were worst. She rediscovered her love for classical music, filling the house with sound instead of silence. She began planning her meals again, taking pride in preparing healthy, delicious food for herself. The change was remarkable. Within 2 months, the fatigue began to lift. The ache in her joints lessened. At her next checkup, her blood sugar was back in the normal range. She hadn't just changed her diet. She had changed her relationship with her emotions and her life. If you're still watching this video and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 2 below to let me know you're here. Your engagement means the world and lets me know we're on the right track. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you subscribe and turn on the bell so you don't miss any videos. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Now let's move forward to a habit that is rooted not in our bodies, but in our mindset. Number 3, the danger of normalizing pain and dismissing symptoms. There is a certain stoicism, a badge of honor, that many people of our generation carry. We were raised to be tough, to not complain, to push through discomfort. We saw our parents work through pain and hardship without a word of complaint. This grin and bear it attitude may have served us well in our younger years, but as we age, it becomes one of the most dangerous mindsets we can possess. The habit of dismissing our body's warning signs, the persistent ache, the unusual fatigue, the subtle change in function, by saying it's just a normal part of getting older, is a direct path to preventable suffering and premature decline. Here's what's tricky about this. Yes, our bodies change as we age. Some aches and stiffness are to be expected. But the problem is, this blanket explanation becomes a convenient and dangerous excuse to ignore red flags for serious and often treatable underlying conditions. That nagging back pain you blame on your age could be a sign of osteoporosis or even a kidney issue. The persistent heartburn you treat with antacids could be a symptom of GERD or, in some cases, a warning sign for heart problems. The increasing forgetfulness you laugh off as a senior moment could be an early indicator of a vitamin deficiency, a thyroid problem, or the initial stages of cognitive decline where early intervention is absolutely crucial. When you normalize these symptoms, you close the door on investigation. You delay diagnosis. You allow preventable problems to become permanent disabilities. You are essentially telling your body that its cries for help don't matter. This is a profound loss of self-care and advocacy at a time in your life when you need it most. Consider the story of George, a 78-year-old retired contractor. George was tough as nails. He'd spent 40 years in construction and prided himself on never taking a sick day. His motto was, "If you're breathing, you're working." In retirement, he applied the same logic to his health. He developed a persistent, nagging pain in his left knee. He limped, especially in the mornings. His wife, Nancy, would plead with him to see a doctor. "George, you can barely get down the stairs." He'd wave her off. "It's just old age, honey. A little arthritis. What's a doctor gonna do? I'll just tough it out." He also started getting unusually out of breath doing simple things, like carrying the groceries in from the car. He'd have to stop and lean against the counter, his chest feeling tight. He told himself he was just out of shape. He was 78, after all. What did he expect? He was actively ignoring two of his body's most important alarm bells. The turning point came on a day he was mowing the lawn. Halfway through, a crushing pain exploded in his chest, radiating down his arm. He collapsed, gasping for air. It was a massive heart attack. In the ambulance, and later in the intensive care unit, the cardiologist explained the devastating truth. His shortness of breath and chest tightness weren't because he was out of shape. They were classic symptoms of angina, caused by severely blocked arteries. The knee pain wasn't just a little arthritis. The inflammation from his untreated joint was contributing to the overall inflammatory load on his cardiovascular system. The doctor told him bluntly, "George, we had warning signs here for months, maybe years. If we had addressed this earlier with medication and lifestyle changes, we could have prevented this. You didn't have to go through this." Lying there, hooked up to a dozen machines, George finally understood. His toughness, his stoicism, hadn't been a sign of strength. It had been a form of self-neglect. His refusal to complain had nearly cost him his life and had certainly sentenced him to a future with a severely weakened heart. The consequences of this habit are heartbreaking because they are so often preventable. It leads to a crisis-based relationship with healthcare. You don't see a doctor until you're in the emergency room. This means treatments are more invasive, more expensive, and less effective. It leads to a life of chronic, unmanaged pain, which is a leading cause of depression and social isolation in seniors. It robs you of your quality of life, forcing you to give up activities you love, not because you have to, but because you've accepted a diminished existence as your new normal. It can also create immense stress and helplessness for your loved ones who see you suffering, but are powerless to help because you refuse to acknowledge the problem. Fortunately, shifting from a mindset of stoicism to one of self-advocacy is an empowering journey. The good news is that you can become an active partner in your own health. Here's how. First, become a body detective. Start a simple health journal or a note in a notebook. It doesn't have to be complicated. Once a week, just take 5 minutes to check in with yourself. How are my energy levels? Are there any new or persistent aches? How is my sleep? My digestion? My mood? Writing it down makes it real and helps you spot patterns over time. A vague feeling of being off becomes a concrete record. I felt unusually tired for the past 3 weeks. This is powerful information to bring to a doctor. Second, prepare for your doctor's appointments. Never go in empty-handed. Before your visit, write down your top 3 concerns or questions. Be specific. Instead of saying, "I've been feeling tired," say, "I've been feeling so fatigued by 2 p.m. that I have to nap, and this has been happening for a month." This transforms you from a passive patient into an active participant. Remember, your doctor can only help you with the information you provide. It's important to consult with healthcare providers, but you must be the one to initiate the conversation. Third, and this is crucial, change your vocabulary. Banish the phrase, "It's just old age," from your thinking. Replace it with, "My body is sending me a signal. I need to find out what it means." This simple linguistic shift changes everything. It reframes pain and symptoms not as a sentence, but as information. It's not a sign of weakness to seek answers. It's a sign of profound wisdom and respect for the one body you have. After his recovery, George became a changed man. He bought a notebook and tracked his symptoms meticulously. He went to his cardiac rehab appointments with a list of questions. He finally had his knee looked at and, with a combination of physical therapy and medication, found significant relief. He started talking to his friends, other men his age, urging them not to make the same mistake he did. He learned, in the hardest way possible, that true strength isn't about ignoring pain. It's about having the courage to listen to it. Now let's move forward. We've talked about the physical body and our internal mindset. The final habit is about the health of our most precious asset, our mind. Number 4, the silent shrinking of your world through routine rigidity. There is a deep comfort in routine. It provides structure, predictability, and a sense of control in a world that can often feel chaotic. For many seniors, especially after retirement, routines become the bedrock of daily life. The same breakfast at the same time, the same television shows, the same route to the grocery store on the same day, the same conversations with the same few people. While this predictability can feel safe, it harbors a hidden and devastating danger. This habit of routine rigidity, of living life on a narrow, repetitive loop, quietly starves the brain of the one thing it needs to stay healthy and sharp: novelty. It causes your world, both physically and mentally, to shrink until you are living in a cage of your own making. Here is why this is so profoundly important for the aging brain. Our brains are designed with something called neuroplasticity. This means they have a remarkable, lifelong ability to reorganize themselves, form new connections, and adapt. But this ability is a use it or lose it proposition. When your day is an exact replica of the day before, your brain is running on autopilot. It's like walking down a deeply worn path in a forest. You don't have to think, your feet just know the way. The neural pathways associated with that routine become strong, but all the other potential pathways, the ones that represent new learning, problem-solving, and creativity, begin to wither from disuse. This is the biological underpinning of cognitive decline. It's not just about memory loss. It's about a loss of mental flexibility, a decreased ability to solve new problems, a fading of curiosity, and a slide into apathy and disengagement. Your brain, once a vibrant and complex jungle of connections, slowly becomes a barren landscape with only a few well-trodden paths. Take the story of Margaret, an 81-year-old former librarian. Margaret had always had a sharp, organized mind. After her husband passed away and she stopped driving, her world became very small, but she managed it with meticulous routine. Tuesday was grocery delivery day. Wednesday was for laundry. Friday was when her daughter, Susan, would call. She watched the same news program in the morning and the same 2 sitcom reruns every night before bed. Her life was a fortress of predictability, and for a while, it felt safe. But Susan started to notice troubling changes during their Friday calls. Her mother, once a woman of strong opinions and varied interests, seemed flat. She would answer questions, but rarely offer any new information. When Susan asked what she'd done all week, the answer was always the same. Oh, the usual. Margaret was also becoming more rigid and easily flustered. One week, the grocery delivery service had to change her delivery day from Tuesday to Wednesday. This minor disruption sent Margaret into a spiral of anxiety. She called Susan 3 times, completely distressed, unable to adjust her mental map of the week. Another time, Susan brought over a new type of tea she thought her mother would enjoy. Margaret looked at the box with suspicion and said, "No, thank you. I only drink my brand." It wasn't about the tea. It was about an unwillingness to allow anything new into her tightly controlled world. The realization hit Susan like a ton of bricks. Her mother wasn't just in a rut. She was losing her cognitive flexibility. Her brain was losing its ability to adapt. Her world had become so small and repetitive that she was forgetting how to operate outside of it. The fortress she had built for safety had become a prison that was dimming the light of her mind. The consequences of this habit are profoundly sad. It leads to a state of passive existence rather than active living. You are no longer the author of your days. You are just a character acting out a pre-written script. This mental stagnation is a fertile ground for depression and anxiety. When the world feels overwhelming and new things feel threatening, the natural response is to withdraw further, creating a vicious cycle of isolation and cognitive decline. People notice but won't tell you. Your family might see you becoming less engaged, less curious, less you, and they worry in silence, not knowing how to broach the subject without sounding critical. It's a quiet fading, a loss of the spark that makes you who you are, and it is almost entirely preventable. The beauty of growing older is the wisdom you carry, but that wisdom needs new soil to grow in. The solution, fortunately, is not to throw your life into chaos. The good news is that you can take control by intentionally and gently injecting novelty into your routine. Here are some simple, powerful ways to do it. First, practice sensory scrambling. This means consciously changing the sensory inputs your brain receives. If you always listen to the news on the radio, try listening to a classical music station or a podcast on a topic you know nothing about. If you always read mystery novels, pick up a biography or a book on travel. Eat your breakfast with your non-dominant hand. These small, even silly, Changes force your brain off autopilot and compel it to form new connections. Second, break your patterns. This is about making small alterations to your established routines. Take a different street on your daily walk. Go to a different grocery store, or even just walk the aisles in a different order. Try one new recipe each week. These tiny deviations from the norm are like little workouts for your brain's flexibility centers. They teach your mind that different is not dangerous, it's interesting. Third, and most importantly, adopt a learner's mindset. Commit to learning one new, small thing every day. It could be the name of a flower you see on your walk, the capital of a country you hear about on the news, or how to use a new feature on your phone. You can use the internet, the library, or just ask someone. The act of learning, of being curious, is the single most powerful antidote to cognitive stagnation. It tells your brain, we are not done yet. There is still more to discover. Susan, understanding what was happening, took a gentle approach with Margaret. She didn't criticize her routine. Instead, she started bringing novelty to her. She brought a jigsaw puzzle on one visit, a bird feeder for the window on another. She signed her mother up for an audiobook service, and they started listening to a historical novel together during their calls. At first, Margaret was resistant. But then, something amazing happened. The puzzle engaged her problem-solving skills. The birds at the feeder sparked her curiosity. The story in the audiobook gave her something new to think about and discuss. Slowly, the light started to come back into her eyes. She started asking questions again. She started offering opinions. She was breaking free from the cage of her own routine, one small, new experience at a time. If you're still with us and have made it this far, you are clearly committed to your health and your future. Please comment number 4 below to let me know you're here. It's incredibly motivating to see who sticks with it to the end. Now let's move forward and bring all of these crucial ideas together. Take a moment to reflect on what we've just covered. We've talked about 4 seemingly innocent daily habits. The comfortable chair that weakens your body, the mindless snack that fuels inflammation, the stoic dismissal of your body's signals, and the rigid routine that shrinks your mind. Think about them. The chair, the chips, the ignored ache, the repetitive day. They don't seem like villains, do they? They feel like comfort. They feel like normal life. But under the surface, behind the scenes, they are quietly working together to shorten not just your lifespan, but your health span, the years you have of vibrant, independent life. You have control over these things. These are not genetic sentences set in stone. They are habits, and habits can be unlearned and replaced. Small changes, consistently applied, make big, life-altering differences. You've lived through enough to know that the biggest challenges are often overcome with simple, steady effort. This isn't about a radical, painful overhaul of your entire existence. It's about making a conscious choice to trade passive comfort for active living. It's about choosing to stand up during the commercials. It's about choosing to ask yourself, what do I really need, before you reach for a snack. It's about choosing to listen to your body with respect instead of dismissing it with impatience. And it's about choosing to learn one new thing, to see the world with fresh eyes, each and every day. These 4 threads are all woven together by one powerful, overarching theme: engagement. Engaging with your body through movement. Engaging with your true needs instead of emotional eating. Engaging with your health by being an active advocate. And engaging with the world through curiosity and learning. You can choose to be a passive spectator in your own aging process, or you can be an active, engaged participant, shaping the quality and length of your own future. The power is, and always has been, in your hands. Thank you for joining us today. We'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. Your thoughts are important to us, so don't hesitate to share them. Reading your comments gives us great motivation and encouragement. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating good content to inform and inspire you. Thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you in the next video.